What a play after play after play.
And he's got a lot of room to run, and she is taking over.
Drones, that's just the greatest conference in the country is showing out tonight, gentlemen. I cannot believe it. That is the greatest football game.
Thank you so much for being with us on a Tuesday night. On behalf of First Amendment Sports, I'm Ken Marangolo. This is the WCAC Spectacular. We're so happy to have you tonight. We're going to keep going on one heck of a holiday ride. Awesome WCAC guests, legendary men and women in our league that we love so much. Without further ado, he is Kevin Ricka.
What's going on, Ken? You sure that's the real Kevin Gibbs? We got to make sure. You know, I saw his Twitter handle, and I got all this stuff. I've been taking oxygen for this intro. We got the real dude over there, right?
Oh, we got the real dude, and people can see we are distanced. We are extremely distanced tonight. We have Mr. Ricka on one corner. We will not be joined on this show by Tim Strachan. He will be joining us on the next show. Want to make sure everyone does us a huge favor and clicks on that First Amendment Sports logo that you see on your screen. Appreciate it if you do that. It helps us out a ton. Get alerts and notifications when we go live, all the things that we're up to. Appreciate your support. And we do look forward to, thank God it's Tuesday, in about an hour from now, where we will be joined by Tim Strachan, also distanced. Appreciate all you guys giving us your holiday time. It is officially December. We are in the home stretch of what I hope will be a very Merry Christmas for all the families, all the folks checking us out, and being part of this ride that we're on. But Kevin, we didn't come here to talk about Merry Christmas necessarily. We came here to talk to an individual who I know is near and dear to your heart, and as you know, he is near and dear to where I come from. And so I'm excited about this one. Why don't you kick it off?
I mean, Ken, you're right. It's Christmas in December over here. It's amazing, but I mean, legitimately, some of the stuff we've been dealing with the past few weeks has been nuts. A 3-time first team All-Met, one of those guys, 3-time first team All-Met, 3-time first team All-WCAC, 2-time WCAC Player of the Year. Here we go, Ken, the DC Gatorade Player of the Year, Topps Baseball Cards Player of the Year, USA Today Player of the Year, USA Baseball Federation Player of the Year, the Maryland State Coaches Association Player of the Year, and that's just high school baseball, man. He was a 3-sport stud. He was a starting 2-guard on one of the top 20 teams in the country, the top 5 team in the area. I was lucky enough to do it with both of them. He was on the title-winning team in 1989 as a reserve D-back, quarterback, punter. He did it all. He came in his junior year in town and played all 3 of those positions. Starting quarterback, safety, played some corner. He did all of it, man. Started at punter, superstar athlete. We're almost finished. 3-time All-American at Old Dominion. This Colonial Athletic Association Conference Player of the Year in 1994, USA Today Under-18, USA Senior National Team, and All-Star at every level of minor league baseball. My brother, an SJC Hall of Famer, an Old Dominion University Hall of Famer, and a Arundel County Sports Hall of Fame, and a Hall of Fame guy I've been lucky enough to call a damn good friend for the last 30 years. How about that intro, Kevin Gibbs?
Hey, man. That $5,000 check is on its way, baby.
Yes.
I thought you said 8, my brother.
No, he can't take that back. He can't take that back. Oh, it's so.
I'm taking interest on them shorts you lost of mine in Las Vegas, dude.
Oh, he brings it up. The Las Vegas shorts, by the way, they're a hot topic.
I didn't know if it was taboo, but I got a surprise for you guys come the end of the show. Remind me about that one, Ken.
I will do that. I will do that. Mr. Gibbs, thank you so much for being with us tonight. It's an absolute pleasure to have you on. And I love the fact that we've been able to take this ride. As you know, Eric Metcalf, Adrian Dantley, Lawrence Moten, just in the last 3 weeks. And man, I tell you, we are not slowing down by having you on tonight. You are a very known quantity in our league, in our community, and again, you come from the. I know people want to say you are from the '60s or '70s, but that's just your style. But you're with us from the '90s. Yeah, it's your hairdo. Take us back. Let's start. Take us back to Anne Arundel County, where both you and I are from, and growing up and playing those multiple sports. Maybe talk a little bit about the importance of that, because I know you and I and Kevin have had a chance to talk that conversation. You get to St. John's with that foundation.
Yeah, so grew up in Anne Arundel County. Went to St. Mary's for elementary school. Loved every second of it. Grew up playing, primarily basketball and baseball, but played a little bit of football. And I feel like it gave me a lot of balance as an athlete. You don't burn out. You're not, overusing the same muscles, because you're, repetitive motion in the same sport. And I will tell you, the coaching style in those sports is a little bit different, right? So, football and basketball, I think the coaches can be, certainly football, it's a little bit more of an aggressive sport. Coaches are more aggressive. I think that really toughens your skin up. And, baseball was obviously the sport that I loved the most, but had great experiences, growing up in Anne Arundel County, played with a ton of great athletes. And, at that point in time in the state of Maryland, Anne Arundel County was really kind of the epicenter of baseball. You had Old Mill, you had Arundel, and, great players, great coaches, and, just enjoyed every second of it. But, I grew up in a St. John's family. I knew the history of the Catholic League. I mean, look, I grew up and I knew about Jack George. I knew about Bobby Lewis and Bobby Reese. And, of course, Joe Gallagher was a staple, was a name around my house. But I also knew about great players from other teams. I knew about Hawkeye Whitney. I knew about Austin Carr. I knew about Adrian Dantley. I knew about Johnny Dawkins. So my goal was always to test myself against the best in the best league in the country. And so it was something that I just kind of dreamed of doing, was going up to St. John's, and you kind of see where you stand when you lace it up in the Catholic League. And as you and Kevin know, I mean, every time you go out there on the field, you got Division I athletes all over the place. You got future professional athletes all over the place. And my goal was kind of, look, I was a pretty good athlete in Anne Arundel County, but where do I really stack up when you kind of get thrown into the deep end of the pool? So I was really looking forward to that. And I can't say I ever had a bad day at St. John's. I mean, I had a lot of tough days, but it was a great experience.
Man, Kev, I got to tell you this, Ken. The first time I met Kev, he was in his home turf. We were at Odenton High School. All right, man. There was a big basketball tournament going on. Kev's a couple years older than I am, but my dad's the AD at St. John's. He knows Kev's dad very well. We're going down there to not only so I can sit on the bench for the 8th grade game in the Select League in my first 7th grade year. Sorry about that. I had a couple. But that's when we get to meet Mr. Gibbs and Kevin. I'm going to tell you, Kevin Gibbs in Anne Arundel County was a known quantity at that point in time. So much so, he put 45 on us. We brought the deep end from Wheaton and D.C. out to Odenton. He put 45 on us. He called a timeout, Ken, with about 2 minutes to go, up by about 7, after he crossed over and broke the press by himself. And I walk out on the bench, and the coach said, Kev, why'd you call a timeout? He said, Coach, man, I was tired. And I was floored. I'm the son of a coach, the son of a grandfather, aunts, uncles. I couldn't believe that guy could call his own timeouts in the 8th grade. Holy moly, Kev.
Well, I'll tell you something that's funny. So I remember that game, but I remember meeting your dad at the St. John's Open House when I was in 8th grade. And, like a lot of my buddies, they went and toured a bunch of high schools. And I just I knew I was going to St. John's since I was 6 years old. So I didn't tour anywhere else. And so a couple guys that had been to some other schools, we walked into the gym together, and your dad had a little TV out there in the lobby, and he was playing some highlights from the from the football season, and Coach Gallagher came over, and we were talking to Coach. He introduced me to your dad, and I got to tell you, we drove home, and I can remember talking to my dad, about your dad, and just what a great athlete he was, and what a storied career he had, at Georgetown Prep, and then at Duke, and then professionally. And, it's just one of those situations where you feel like you're walking into a high school where, you have a legendary, basketball coach, and then, with a new athletic director, new football coach that was coming in with kind of pedigree that your dad had. There just was a lot of momentum, around the athletic department when I got there.
Well, Kevin, you made your bones, obviously, as you made your way through on a variety of courts and diamonds. But I look at some of those jerseys up there, and I think of you I think of you on the baseball diamond. And I had to ask because you got a lot of families, especially. Well, first of all, they're hoping they get to play spring sports this year and get out there and play baseball. But they got kids that they're looking to put into programs. And I thought one good way to kind of get you talking about the sport of baseball would be to ask you what are the values, what's rewarding for young men and going into the WCACs, especially on the baseball diamond.
Yeah, so I think well, first of all, my oldest son is a senior now at St. John's, and so I actually had left. I coached with my brother from 2009 to 2011, and then came back in 2018 when my oldest son was a freshman, and so I kind of got to watch this from two different perspectives. One as a coach, and then two as a parent, and the thing that I still love about the Catholic League and about the baseball community, the Catholic League, is that every time you go out there and lace them up, you're lacing them up against great competition. We've got some great coaches in the league, and then if you're playing at St. John's, for me and for my sons, it was a no-brainer to be able to play for Mark. I mean, the guy. He's won. I mean, he's been there 13 years. He's got 7 tournament titles, 10 regular season titles. 114 guys in college baseball. 74 division. I mean, the numbers kind of go on and on and on. First round pick, a major leaguer, and so to get to be part of that kind of a program, and to be able to look at the values that are instilled on a daily basis in terms of teamwork. He talks a lot about the we over the me, and how team first above all else. And I think those messages are so important today because in a lot of segments of our society, because of the kind of the smartphones and the Twitter and all these kinds of different social media platforms, there's a lot more focus on the individual than there is on the team. And I think you guys would probably agree, in order to be successful in life, you have to be able to work cohesively with the team in your business, the team in the career you take on after you finish high school and college, and so the hard work, the toughness, the teamwork, all those values that Mark preaches on a daily basis, I think are so important and have played a huge role in Casey's development, and and so many other former players that have come through the program.
Well, it's been a pleasure, obviously, to get to know your family. We've had Mark on the show before, and I echo that sentiment. It's so hard because baseball, so many people think of baseball as an individual sport. You stand in that batter's box alone. You man your position, socially distanced from everybody else on the field, and you forget sometimes, or it's easy for some people to forget sometimes, that the team in that sport. And so, how do you keep that focus? I mean, how do you reward kids for really buying into that kind of thing?
Well, I think first thing Mark does a great job of is he. If you kind of look at our statistics at the end of the season, you're going to see a ton of guys have thrown innings, a ton of guys have gotten at bats, and not just one inning. It's like, hey, guys with more than 10 innings on the bump, guys with more than 20 at bats, and he does a great job, using the entire roster to make sure that each and every component on that roster is utilized to help us perform at a high level. And, that takes a lot of preparation. It takes a lot of, work. He's got a great coaching staff. I had a pretty big role on the staff before I left in 2011. When I came back, just the way they ran practices, the way they instructed the kids. I mean, look, his coaching staff at St. John's, he's got, I think we've got 12 coaches at St. John's, 3 freshmen, 3 JV, and 6 varsity. And I mean, he's got 2 guys who are Hall of Famers who aren't head coaches in the program, who are in the Hall of Fame, as coaches. He's got, 5 professional players, ex-professional players in the program as coaches. He's got 8 former college. So, these kids are getting tremendous instruction. And I think he does a really good job when they get to the varsity level, being able to kind of use all of the players. And I got to tell you, we've got great players. We've got great families. They have good values. They work hard together. And, for me and for Casey, I have a younger son who's a freshman now. It's just, it's been a great experience for us.
Congratulations to Casey signing with Virginia Commonwealth. Dad hooked it up. Mom, congratulations to you.
That's right.
You smart enough to make sure you guys could leave at breakfast, catch 2 down to Richmond, and be home in bed and only in no time. That's pretty brilliant.
Amen to that, brother. Amen to that. Yeah.
That's
well,
awesome.
I take him as a parent. It's one of those situations where he was always a guy who was like for most of his career, he kind of bad at the bottom of the lineup, and he played kind of all over the field. And I was just hoping when he got to St. John's, at some point in his career, he'd be able to contribute at the varsity level. And then all of a sudden, he just kept working at it and ended up having like a great sophomore year, made the varsity a great sophomore year for a team that ended up, ranked 14th in the country. And I couldn't be prouder of him, man. He's really worked hard. And, as a dad, you're only as happy as your least happy child, right? And when you're coaching that guy, like you and your dad must have had a million conversations like this, right? Because you were an unbelievable player. You were the quarterback and the point guard and the center fielder, and so you had this massive role. Look, when I got hurt my junior year, you're coming up playing QB and you're throwing darts all over the field and doing all that great stuff as a freshman. And but your dad's got to be a coach and a father, and it's a I'm sure you guys talked about it. It's not, it's nerve-wracking at times, because when it's not only your kid failing, but you're also coaching a team where if he fails, it's hurting an entire group of kids. So it's definitely a different dynamic. But yeah, I was really proud of him, and it'll be exciting. Like you said, you get down there and see some games easy. It's a couple hours drive. So I'll keep my fingers crossed, man. I got to keep working hard.
KG, it's definitely you talk about Kevin playing for his dad. You say how that discipline worked. My guess is a couple of those quarterback keepers he called might have been just a little bit. You know what, Kev? Yeah. Hey, why don't you keep this one and run it between the tackles, and then tell me what play you want to run. Did that ever happen?
Ken, it was a great experience, but there was a handful of times, bud, that I was that kid that Kev was talking about, the least happy kid in the family. So my dad was only as happy as that, but he seemed to be having a good old time. So I don't know about Kev's theory. It might have gotten blown up.
Well, Ken, you might not notice, but Kev was a hell of a baseball player for us. Remember, I think your sophomore year, you had that streak going like 20-some straight games. He didn't strike out. It was incredible. I was supposed to be this great player, and here I am, striking out here, striking out there. And then, Kevin Ricka, who's this little freshman, little sophomore guy, he's not striking out at all, man.
Little?
It's like, I struck out at my final at bat, Kev. I went into the summer with a backwards K, brother.
Oh man, those were it was a great run, buddy.
Yeah, my man. And we, there's a few more things to discuss with you here, but I'm gonna let Ken determine what he wants to do next. But Ken, we got that list that you like to have every week, that word association. So keep that in the back pocket. Just letting you know.
Well, I want to go there next, but I just had to ask him a question because Kevin didn't just play multiple sports; he was really good at multiple sports. And you get to the next level, and I want to know what the temptation was to try and lace him up for multiple sports at the next level. Was there any coach or any player or any friend or any roommate trying to get you to come out to the gridiron, trying to get you to hit the hardwood, trying to get you to maybe just consider, just for a game or two, to put those talents to work in another sport in college?
Yeah, so it's funny you say that. So I did go through the recruiting process, as a high school basketball player, and it's funny. The first home visit I had from a college coach wasn't for baseball; it was for basketball. Bob McKillop from Davidson came up, and his assistant coach was Matt Doherty, and Matt had played on the national championship team in North Carolina with Michael Jordan. Matt was, I think, a junior or senior when they won it, and Michael Jordan was a freshman. And so, we sat in the living room, we talked, and then Matt started talking, about Michael Jordan, and he told a great story. He said, when in the fall, I guess they were playing Monopoly, and it's at night. It's just him and Michael, and he beat Michael in Monopoly, and right at the end of the game, he beat him, and Michael flipped the board up in the air, and the pieces went flying everywhere. And he said, "Listen, we're playing again," and so this was like 12 o'clock at night. So they started the next game, and Matt said, look, it was like 5:30 in the morning. They had practice the next day. He's like, Michael, I am done, man. I'm done playing. You win. You basically wore me out. But I thought it was, and this was at a point in time, it was 1992, and I didn't know, I knew Michael Jordan was a great player, but I didn't, kind of know all the stories that I know now about him, and that really kind of spoke volumes, right? It's like the guy was going to win. He was just going to keep coming after you and keep coming after you, until he got that W, and that's a story that's kind of always stuck with me through my career. But when I got to Old Dominion, so the head coach was Oliver Purnell, the assistant coach was Pete Strickland. They had recruited me, straight for basketball. And then when I decided to sign till kind of April my senior year, and they, Old Dominion had a really good program, and the kind of game they played was perfect for me because it was really high tempo. I wasn't a great kind of set up offense kind of guy, but if you got going up and down the court and there's a lot of transition, I was really effective in that type of in that style of basketball. And so anyway, Oliver Purnell and Pete and Kev, you remember Pete Strickland, from DeMatha, right? They would they and like a couple other coaches came over to baseball practice probably like 5 or 6 times and sat in the dugout. And after baseball practice, I would sit down. They'd talk about playing, and my baseball coaches were great. I mean, they were to their credit. I mean, I don't know what I would have done as a baseball coach when the basketball coach was trying to poach one of my guys, but they came over 5 or 6 times, wanted me to play, and but I at that point in time, I had played basically multiple sports my whole life, and I was ready to just kind of really lock in on baseball, and that is kind of one of my core beliefs, as an athlete, is that what you see today is like this hyper specialization at a really early age in sports, and I'm not a fan of that at all. I think it leads to a ton of injuries. I think it leads to burnout. I don't think that you develop the base athleticism that you need to be an elite athlete if you just play one sport. I mean, I was in a major league locker room for 4 years, and I can tell you right now that the overwhelming majority of those guys were multiple sport athletes that were able to compete at a high level in different sports, and I think it's really beneficial. I think you read some of like The Sports Gene by David Epstein, and they talk about how guys that play multiple sports, they learn quicker, they adjust quicker. So there's a lot of benefits to it, and but by the time I got to college, it was like, hey, I really need to just focus on baseball, because my dream was to try to play in the major leagues, and I was ready to spend my days just working on my baseball skills, as opposed to there were days in the summer when I was in high school where I had like a routine. I'd go down to the batting cage, I'd hit in the batting cage for an hour, then I had a little basketball workout that I would do. And then a buddy of mine named Eric Smallwood, who went to DeMatha, he would come over and I'd throw passes to him. So it was like 3-4 hour workout where you're hitting all 3 sports in the summer, and that's you had to do that to be able to compete, because the Catholic League is so many great athletes and so many great players. But I was ready to kind of just kind of laser in on baseball and really try to develop as much as I could at Old Dominion as a baseball player.
All right, well, Ricka, let's hit him with some word association. So we've been doing this the last few weeks, and it's been a lot of fun. So we're gonna hit you with some names. Kevin's gonna read them off, and if you could just give us a thought, a word, 2, 3, 4 words, whatever kind of comes to your mind when you hear these names, and we're gonna try to get some raw Kevin Gibbs-ness out of you on this one.
And we're getting to that right away. I need 10 seconds, Kevin.
Okay.
I know what Oliver Purnell and Pete Strickland saw when they came from basketball practice over to the baseball field. They saw a swing that looked like it was reimagined by Ted Williams. Faster from home to first than Ricky Henderson, a freaking rifle in the outfield. And that guy outworked everyone on a diamond every second of the day. So now, Kevin Gibbs, here's where you get put on the spot, my brother. I got former teammates, coaches, or people that you played against, and we just need a couple words. Whatever pops in your head, my man. R.A. Dickey.
Ooh, okay, so R.A., we were roommates, and he would yell, "The cave." That was his big thing. "We're going to the cave, KG."
A.J. Hinch.
Super smart. Great guy.
F.P. Santangelo.
Lot of knowledge. Love to talk to you about the knowledge. Great guy.
Lawrence Moten.
Woo! Easy 28 every game.
Branson Ferry.
Red jacket, cigarettes, and tan pants.
Paul LaDuca.
Great hitter. Overachiever. I was trying to think of his nickname. That's why we had a great nickname for him. I can't think of it right now. But yeah, great hitter, overachiever, great guy.
You spent a lot of time with him and this next guy, Alex Cora.
Great hands. Great hands.
Joe Gallagher.
Tough. Prepared me for athletics in college. Great coach.
A-Rod.
Amazing. Unbelievable. Never seen anything like it before or since.
Just didn't hit as high as you did that year. Davey Johnson.
Davey Johnson, players manager, called my house, and my roommate picked up, and he still talks about it to this day.
Your final one. You're off the hook after this one. Stace Bozeman.
Dunked on me. Las Vegas.
Well,
Crazy
you
athlete.
tell that part.
Hey man, I want to be honest, baby. You know, you gave me enough of the PR, Kev. I'm good. I'm good with people knowing he dunked on me. You can probably find on YouTube.
Well, how about this? You can also find on YouTube that we beat the Morningside Five that year. Yourself, myself, Eric McCoo, Pat Ward, Big Darrell, Mike Brown. We beat them. They did a documentary on them starting the year before. There was camera crews there, but that camera crew's got a lot of cutting room floor footage of the cadets that year. I can promise you that, bud.
Oh yeah, they didn't want to put that big L on TV.
I'll tell you what.
That was very good, Kev.
I'll give you a couple bonus ones. Wayne, does the name Wayne Small ring any bells?
Oh, Wayne Small. Yeah. He was a outfielder, right? Went to maybe like Southern School.
Southern High School. Neighborhood kid.
Yeah, we played Legion together, I think, maybe 1 year.
That's right. And I got some names from the boards for you tonight. I got John Big Snack Bowles. He was lighting up our board tonight.
Hey, legendary Richard Montgomery baseball player. Probably as good of a hitter as I ever saw at the high school level. We went out to Oklahoma for the Sun Belt Classic, and he just, hit a home run off the scoreboard, went oppo, doubles, triples, just was out of control. And he terrorized the household while he was out there. If he's listening, you know what I'm talking about.
And last one, because it's one of the most recent, David Freeman Jr.
Hey, I lost you there for a sec, Kev.
David Freeman Jr.
Oh, yeah. So Anne Arundel County boy, we played baseball together for little guys, man, like 3rd, 4th, 5th grade. Yeah, absolutely. Great guy.
Bringing the old school Anne Arundel County folks onto the board tonight. That's what's great. Kind of loop back around to the conversation of the sport and maybe some of your experiences at St. John's. And baseball is tough. You can have that dream to make it to the pros. There's a lot of opportunity to play, obviously, at the lower levels, and it's a blessing to get to play at a top program like St. John's, move on to D1 in the pros. But so many people have that dream and don't make it. My question is, what does the sport of baseball give to all those kids who don't make it as far as you did?
Well, look, number one, hopefully, I think baseball is one of those sports where you have to have like a strong, support system. It's family or a coach or a mentor. And, luckily for me, my dad spent hours and hours and hours working with me and supporting me and supporting my dreams. And, I would have never made the the junior Olympic team. My dad pushed me to kind of go through the tryouts and submit the information. And I just would have never achieved what I achieved as a baseball player without his support. And I think the message. So you have that great relationship. Hopefully you develop with like I said, it's like your dad or a family member and a mentor that really helps you. So he and I have great memories and great experiences, and that stuff is it's priceless. I think my main message to young players is to use the sport and don't let the sport use you. As a high school athlete, I think you want to understand how to be part of a team. You want to work as hard as you can and see how high your talents can take you. And if your talents don't take you to become a college baseball player, that's cool too. But you want to give it your all and see what you got and leave it, and don't leave anything in the tank, because when you get to be 45 years old, you don't want to look back and say, I wish I would have done a couple things differently. You want to say you put it all out there. But if you can use baseball as a tool to hopefully get to a college that you wouldn't have otherwise been able to attend without baseball, then I think you've done yourself a great service. You're going to be able to hopefully put yourself in a position to get a great education. And then I think you get out into the real world and look, I co-founded a private equity fund about 4 or 5 years ago, and we've been really fortunate. It's going really well, but we've talked to we interview people all the time to hire them, and the guys who have an athletic background, they definitely stand out, because they've been in competition, they understand teamwork. They understand, a lot of times failure. They understand constructive criticism. They haven't been in a bubble. They've succeeded, they've failed, and they know how to compete. And I think, you can use all those experiences. You can use those talents that you've developed, as you get into the real world and have to compete for whatever company that you're in.
Answer. And Ken, I'm going to tell you why. It's very few elite athletes that God has gifted have a work ethic that far exceeds their talent. It just doesn't happen. And the guy that's talking to us right now knows this. He was a can't miss prospect who didn't miss. He put in all the work. His first 3 years as a minor league baseball player, he made the All-Star team at lower A, higher A, double A. He went on and on. He was supposed to be Davey Johnson's center field of the future, a switch hitting speed demon that could hunt down. He covered more grass than rain. This guy was all over the place, Ken. 2 torn labrums on his left shoulder, 2 torn labrums on his right shoulder. What does he do? He comes back in 2002, signs with the Yankees, plays about 60 or 70 games, hits right near 300. What a great comeback. Another ankle injury followed by a shoulder injury, and Kev put himself in the position after 10 years of hitting over 300 in professional baseball and playing with guys that he was far better than and did far better than all over the place, to be in the position he's in right now, having 3 kids, 1 headed to college, doing great off the field. That's the perfect message, Kev. That's why we bring you on here tonight. Both reasons, my man. That, and we're not done telling another story or two, but I just want to say thanks, bud. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your friendship. And thank you for everything you've done for not just St. John's, but this league that we love so much.
Well, Kev, man, I tell you what, buddy, first of all, thanks for all those kind words. And I will say one thing. It is funny you mentioned that 2002 year with the Yankees, because it was one of those moments in your life where you do feel really proud about what you were able to accomplish. I basically missed 4.5 years because of injuries. And to be able to come back in Double-A, which is, Double-A is kind of looked at in minor league baseball as really a proving ground, right? A lot of guys are good in rookie ball and A ball, and then you get to Double-A and kind of the rubber meets the road, and a lot of guys' careers have detoured in Double-A. And in '97, I had my first stop in Double-A and had a great year. I ended up hitting 340, and then next year I was on the major league roster, and then the injuries set in, and to come back in 2002, and look, you have a lot of nights when you go to sleep and you feel like your career probably is going to be over because of the injuries, and if you can come back and to go back and get back into the swing of things and to hit 300 and. I played for a great man. Louis Soho was our manager that year, and Louis had won, 6 rings with the Yankees. And he called me into his office kind of late in August and said, they were considering bringing me up, and as a pinch runner. The Yankees were a little bit older then, didn't have as much speed or athleticism, and that didn't happen, obviously, but just to kind of get yourself back in a position to be a guy was something I was really proud of. And, as I tell people all the time, man, 10 years of professional baseball is a great run, kept you out of the real world. I tell young players all the time, I said, when you're in professional baseball, especially when you're in major leagues, money's coming at you from every single angle. And I can remember, you mentioned Paul LaDuca earlier. So I can remember I was laying in bed with my wife, and Paulie had just signed, I think, his first kind of really big contract. It was like a 3-year, like $8 million deal. And I can remember looking at my wife going, that doesn't seem like that great of a contract. And all of a sudden you get into the real world and, someone says, hey, Kev, I'll pay you $8 million for 3 years to do something that you love every single day, man. We'd all chew our left arm off to do that. But you don't have kind of that perspective when you're young and you're playing and money's coming at you from all angles. It's a perspective that you kind of gain over time and you gain in the real world. And, but I wouldn't trade any second of the experience. And just like at St. John's, you play with great guys, you're coached by great coaches, and, you have these experiences that you kind of, look, you and I, when we see each other at football games or basketball games, man, it's immediately, you tell 10 stories from 20 years ago and you're dying laughing, it doesn't get any better than that.
I've been biting my cheeks and my lip all night long, but
hit us.
Tell you.
Kevin, hit us. You say you saved something special for us. Why don't you break it out?
I received this in the mail from Las Vegas, Nevada, approximately within the last 10 years. It said, do not open until a pandemic. But the back tag says Gibbs number 10 on it.
Lost and found.
Oh, man.
I'm not a kind-hearted soul after all this time, my friend. But, these things belong where they belong right now, and I'm the proud owner.
Hey, listen, man, I'm going to tell you. That was a greght trip, but, we had a lot of great trips. We had Altoona was a great trip, and Martinsburg was a great trip, and Alhambra was a great trip 2 straight years. And, hey, and Ken, you may not know this, man, but Kev, Kev was he could really dance, man. Like the guy,
I've heard.
He could cut the rug. He'd go to a dance. You just need to kind of stand by him and let him do his thing. And ladies were flocking to the dance floor to watch this put his moves on, man. He has some serious moves. He showed them off in a little after tournament dance. He was rocking the place. He's only a freshman. It was great. We could be a wingman to a freshman.
He has busted out those moves on a Tuesday or two, and it has been great fun to see him as well. And Mr. Gibbs, you might not know this, but you're looking at a shell of a man. He about 4 or 5 months ago, that dance floor was rocking. Now he's creating just a tiny little bit less friction when he's moving across that floor. My hat's off to both co-hosts, both Strachan and Ricka. They've committed to shaving off the pounds, and man, have they ever? I think almost 100 pounds between them. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, man. Hey, Kev, don't get too sexy now.
Hey, what's more impressive is how we got to where we were, to be honest. That story's way more fun.
Oh, man.
Kev, man, listen, I'm going to tell you this, man. You were the most athletic dude I was ever around. You didn't even know you could dunk till I said, man, you keep slapping the top of the square in the backboard. That means you can dunk. You went up, you dunked it. Like, basketball-wise, this is just so natural to you. But, that's when I laugh about baseball. Baseball was always going to be you. You taught me more in a half an inning on a baseball diamond than I ever could have taught you in a lifetime of basketball. You just happen to be good at that. And you got recruited to St. John's because apparently Joe Gallagher, John Ricka, and Branson Perry gave you a one-time out for yourself a season. And I thought that was the coolest thing ever. And I think doing this tonight is the second coolest thing ever. It's been a ton of fun getting to talk to someone that I've always looked up to, a great friend of mine, but a guy that we all looked up to. The whole team looked up to this guy. He's the guy you tried to eat your lunch like. He's the guy you tried to act like in the parking lot. Here's the man. Kevin Gibbs, thanks for joining us tonight, my brother.
Kev, it's been great, buddy. Ken, thank you guys so much. And listen, continued success with First Amendment, man. I love what you guys are doing. And, Hey, man, capturing these memories of the greatest high school league in the country is something that is going to be a treasure trove for generations to come, man.
Thank you so much, and you're such a big part of that. And as soon as possible, you need to get your way down to the basement because that is long overdue. I know we talked about that. I know now's a tough time for that, but we will be back and able to host, and I do fully expect you to be there.
Hey, listen, I am there, baby, and we've been like I'm gonna bring my boy Bubba Gadoosh, Drew Lemon down too, man. We'll do a little.
Oh, please do. The catching coach, my man, St. John's football. You bring Drew. I'll wear these, baby. I'll wear these.
Hey, listen, that guy knows everybody in high school sports. Like if you call, just say, I just call him in the morning. I say, what's new on the grapevine? He's talked to everybody. Everybody loves him, and so you'll probably get the biggest amount of eyeballs on the show in history when you bring Bubba Gadoosh on there.
Keep it rolling, Bubba Gadoosh. My man, Big Drew.
Well, speaking of keeping it rolling, we have been doing just that. Thank you so much, Kevin Gibbs, for being on our show tonight, for gracing us with your presence, and for being such a great part of this conference and it's the St. John's legacy. We look forward to talking to you soon, and we wish you and your family an amazing holiday season. Stay safe and healthy, man.
All right. Thanks, fellas. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Yes, Merry Christmas, my man.
I'll tell you what. We did it again. We're on a roll. I tell you, we can't do any better than these guests, and we got better. I wouldn't say better. We're going to stay good with the guests in the weeks to come. We got some awesome announcements. Kevin, do we have any announcements to make for our guests next week yet?
No, I'm just saying let's keep it easy. Let's just keep this league rolling right along. But no, nothing yet. Let's keep the people waiting. We got to keep them chopping at the bit for a couple of days. And
okay. We'll lock it down. Before we get out of here tonight, we do want to take a second to thank our sponsor for this holiday season, Pink Dot Styles, our good friends, Alan and Carolyn Vogt, Howard Avenue in Kensington, Maryland. Why are we telling you about all this? All these folks who are watching this show tonight, I know you have a special loved one, a mom, a sister, a grandmother, a wife. You got opportunities out the wazoo at that website that's there right now. You type in the code WCAC5, get yourself any of these amazing gifts. But I'll tell you what, they're specializing right now, and that's their bags, their purses. If you want to knock the socks off of that special loved one, man, I'll tell you what, pick one of those up. We have been doing that around at First Amendment Sports, and I tell you what, we have absolutely Kevin, heroes. I mean, if you buy your wife a purse that is actually cool and looks great, how much of a hero are we these days?
It's incredible to show up with that. My wife's got the camo with the pink stripe. It's across the shoulder. It's nothing but awesome. It's ridiculous. Everyone in there is doing their best. My mother-in-law's already got her granddaughter's little presents from over there. Listen, this is for any age. Their stuff is sharp. Their stuff is cool. And like I said, there's some bartender in there, some bartendering gear in there for the gentlemen, Ken. So we can make those drinks in comfort for the ladies while they're looking sharp with their gear. It's going to be a good one.
We're going to be back on the sidelines for games. We're going to be back traveling to hang out with friends. We're going to be back hosting our friends and family in our basements and on our patios and at the dinner table. And they got all the stuff that you need. Again, that's pink.styles.com, an amazing family, a local business, helping us tell the story of the WCAC on a weekly basis. Help them out by checking them out at their website there. And again, WCAC5 gets you a bit of a discount.
WCAC5.
Or your mother-in-law. That is right. Miss Jeffers, that is absolutely right. We got a special comment in there, and that deserves to be repeated. Please join us momentarily in about 5 to 10 minutes back on this same channel, First Amendment Sports, where we will be talking about the greater D.C. sports scene. Will be focusing on the almost first place Washington football team. We'll be joined by Tim Strachan to get that started. Again, that starts in about 5 or 10 minutes. To everyone who hung out with us tonight, thank you so much. He's Kevin Ricka.
Hey, thank you, Kevin Gibbs. I mean, we just had a stud on there, man. My guy, Ken. That was awesome. Way to go, Kev.
I'm Ken Marangolo, and on behalf of First Amendment Sports, we're wishing you an amazing holiday season. Hope it's off to a great start. This was the WCAC Spectacular. We'll see you next Tuesday. Thanks, everybody.